Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
Into the silo.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. BZ, sir, good evening. It is the 17th of May, 2016.
It's correct. It's the 4th of Cunegonda.
Yes.
So all people from Cunegonda, to you I say huzzah in solidarity.
Very nice.
Right on.
Very nice. I appreciate the huzzah. I'm sure everybody out there does on some level, right?
Give the governor a harumph.
A harumph. You watch your ass. Still one of my favorite movies. Always will be, too, sir. Always will be. It is a classic.
Who do we have in chat? We have Jersey Joe. We have Dan Butcher.
Joe.
We have Mike. We have Mary Brockman and one viewer who is unidentified.
Unidentified.
The lava lamp is lighted, as everyone can see. And once again, it's one of those days where I wish something happened.
Yes, I wish we actually had a lot to talk about instead of very, very little like we have now. I wish, gosh.
It's another one of those damn slow news days.
Yeah, it's been a real rough one, hasn't it? BZ, and you.
It's almost like, where do you start again?
Yeah. How do we keep having this luxury, if you will?
It's from Top Gun. This is a target-rich environment.
Totally target-rich environment. And you know what the funny part is? Oh, by the way, I got to clean my glasses here. Now that we're on video, I have to explain everything I'm doing all the time so it doesn't look just strange, which you can catch the video at YouTube. Or if you go to shrmedia.com, look for today's show post for the Sackheads Radio Show. There we go. I can see it. BZ, you grew a beard.
There I am.
You grew a beard.
That's
Dear
right.
God, when did that happen?
What? Where'd all that weight come from? What the hell?
But if you go to shrmedia.com, click on today's show page, and under today's date, you can get the YouTube video as well.
See, I chatted up the show last night.
Yes.
On the Berserk Bobcat Saloon, and I said, it's going to be another bipod of individuals because Sackhead Sean will not be there. He has to babysit.
Right.
And I said, actually, unfortunately, it appeared that you got Marburg when you were donating time in Africa as a doctor,
Yes.
which you frequently do.
I do, actually.
Except now I look to the right, and the person that I thought was going to be here today is gone.
And I'm actually stealing his camera, so I have 2 cameras on me. But I'm doing that because
Okay, that's good too. That works.
I'm doing that because I want to learn some things. That's what it comes down to. I want to learn how to mess with this here camera system. So I just did that for fun.
By the way, we decided last night because you and I spoke before the show.
Yes.
And you helped me go through all the technology because last night I had some trouble trying to get into the show. White Mamba was going to call, and I could not get him on the air. And we conclusively decided that it was White Mamba's fault.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay, so
So we're just being honest here. That's all. We're just being honest.
beyond a shadow of a doubt, this was Mamba's fault. And here is why. You and I have both independently tested the audio
Yes,
system.
we did that today.
We have put it through all of its paces that you could absolutely put anything through, which we did. And more importantly, we both agreed that it could just be that he's technologically impaired. Now,
Right. In other words, in terms of technology, it's not me, it's him.
you. And I would have to agree with that tonight, BZ.
Because, for example, if I could point this out, because he's not here and I get to say this,
Right.
Hadn't you already classified at one time Clint, who is younger than me, as the person who is the least capable of dealing with technology?
Oh, wow. So, yeah. So it's really funny with Clint. So when Clint chooses to learn something with technology,
The operative word.
chooses. It is feeble at best.
I like that word. That's a word I haven't used in a while. Feeble.
At best. Without exaggeration, it's feeble at best. But he mutters through. And that's okay.
Joe says, I don't see any video, which is fine because that means that he didn't see the look on your face that you just gave now after speaking about Clint. So perhaps that's all well and good.
Well, I'll have to check YouTube and see if we're on the video there. But yeah, so he's really good for the most part, BZ, when I do it for him. Here's the difference between you and he. I show you something no less than 30 times. And you pick it slowly up. I mean, really, you're in the ballpark with it.
By the way, I'm looking at YouTube right now.
Yes.
We're there.
I thought so.
Yep,
I
we're
thought
there.
so. I was going to check it in a minute. I figured we were there. But yeah, so with you, like 30 seconds at least. 30 attempts is what I'm looking for, at least. And then you pick it up.
Yeah. So, hey, sooner or later, okay, I'll grant you a little bit slow.
Describe a little bit. Hey, you know what? I don't even want to discuss it. Clint, on the other hand, would be like trying to teach quantum physics.
To a herring.
Yes, except the herring may already have a little bit of math knowledge to be able to. When it comes to electronics, when Clint first got an iPhone and he had a flip phone for years.
Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. This new year, get clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list, including Ritual's best-selling Essential Prenatal Multivitamin, designed with 12 traceable key ingredients to support a healthy pregnancy. With big changes coming up, take the small steps now and start today with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Folks, I kid you not. Like 2 years ago, he upgraded. It was an embarrassment to everybody. I had to teach him how to use an iPhone. And
I bet that was
every 18
fun.
seconds, he'd look at me and go, huh? Just like that. I'd be like, no, you have to do that. Oh, like this? No. Just do X, Y, and Z, A, B. Huh? And then finally I said, you know what? When you need something on your phone, just bring it to me. I'll do it and hand it back to you.
Right, it's
just
easier
that way.
You know, we'll stop with the explanations. Tell you
Yeah.
what, let's just go from A to B, which is me getting it done.
Oh, God, it was embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. That's why I have these in studio. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to cover this up so they don't get unfair endorsement. That's why I have these in studio. These are for when...
Right, the Tums.
Yeah. Antacids. We're not getting paid for that shit. Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing, though. He's gotten better over time. But, you know...
Well, okay, when you're gone,
Yeah.
all right, that's where he sits, and he does run the board.
Really?
Yes.
See, and I don't believe you. Now that we have video, I'll have proof.
Yes, you will.
Because I've yet to see a photograph of that. I've yet to see any sort of evidence other
okay.
than you, and I know you, if he paid you enough money, yeah, he'd probably lie.
Because he has run the board all the times that it's just been me and you, or me and him. So next week, then, perhaps we can expect that we'll have the full triumvirate back.
I would hope so. I hope he's actually feeling under the weather this week. He wanted to be back. I guess his nose is running, so that must be like a marathon.
Oh,
how big of a thing of tissues do you think he needs?
What do they make Kleenex in the 3 foot by 3 foot size? And instead of Kleenex, does he instead of buying Kleenex, does he go to a medical store and buy those big swatches of gauze?
That's probably.
See,
what
now
he's
that's
doing.
thinking ahead.
That's probably what he's doing. And then he has to have somebody run down to the end and blow it, which is even more amazing. I don't know if you know
that brings
this.
a joke to mind right now.
Yes, it does, which is the exact opposite of reality. That's even better. I don't know if you know this, but we've never had a audio ship alerting system on the Sacramento River until Clint got a cold the first time. And now ships stay away for miles. Miles, I tell you. And the Coast Guard's very appreciative.
This is me gobsmacked.
Totally gobsmacked. I want to make sure everyone can see you gobsmacked. There we go. God, yeah, no, I hope he's feeling better. There's nothing worse than when you come back from a trip and get sick.
Hey, I got a question for you because
Yes.
I was looking in chat. Joe said I couldn't find the YouTube feed on the SHR Media website.
Okay.
Is it actually on the SHR
No,
Media
not
website?
yet. So as we're developing the YouTube feed,
So to see it, they go directly to YouTube.
or you
then,
go to
correct?
shrmedia.com under today's show post, which is the 17th of May. It should be one of the first posts right up there, and there it is at the top. If you click on that, two things will happen. Tonight's show will start playing, hopefully, if I did it right, for the audio. If I did it right, because... Okay, so that worked. I know. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that worked. And then if you scroll down a little bit, which you can, right under it, it says YouTube. Oh. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I may have screwed that up a little bit when I posted it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. Then we just tell people, hey, go to YouTube. When you're in YouTube, enter Sackheads Radio.
Yep.
And boom, you'll go right to it.
Comes right up. Right up.
Because that's where I went. I went to YouTube to go find it, and then I saw it. It was all well and good.
I suck at this. Apparently, I'm getting there.
Well,
though.
it's
a new venture.
It's a
I've
work,
never,
yeah.
ever had to deal with this before.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, so YouTube, SHR Media will be live right there, and we both know it's on now, so that's good. Yeah, God, that's embarrassing.
No, it's not, because it takes it to another level. It's fun to listen, but you can listen, you can watch, depending on what you feel like doing. If you want to listen to Sackheads and you got to do something else like clean your fish tank or balance your checkbook, like anybody has a checkbook anymore, then you can just listen to the audio.
A what book?
A checkbook, yes,
okay.
right, exactly like that.
So let's start.
Where do you start? There's so much stuff.
Special counsel?
That could be a special event.
That could be a special event of sorts. So if you have opened any sort of media today, up to and including like Pinterest and any other application anywhere, you'll find out that there was a special counsel appointed today in order to investigate the connection between the Trump administration, then campaign, and Russia. Russia. This never seems to go away.
Created courtesy of Hillary Rodham Clinton. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so, I have mixed emotions about this. It's former FBI Director Mueller. If you haven't looked into him.
Who's not a bad guy.
Yeah, he's not a bad guy.
I would feel fairly confident in his ability to do what needs to be done and do it judiciously.
Fairly. Even though presidents and special counsels have not always been a wonderful thing. It's not always worked out great.
Well, what was it that the Democrats were demanding? They were demanding a special prosecutor.
Right.
This is just a special counsel.
Right. It's not a special prosecutor.
It's just an investigation.
Oh, yeah. It's just
hey,
an investigation.
if you got a corona, I need one. All right?
But, BZ, you go back to Ken Starr and how that got screwed up with Clinton. It didn't get screwed up. The investigation ran. He was just never held accountable for his actions.
Well, it's like people were talking about Jason Chaffetz and Trey Gowdy. Oh, by the way, Trey Gowdy, for FBI director, is out. I was watching, I think Martha McCallum was talking to Trey Gowdy last night, and he said, I'm out, and this is why. This is a hell of a comment on the status of politics today. He said he was out because he's not interested in going through the crap, the political turmoil that's going to occur when people...
Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hardy Fiber Cement Siding is proven to withstand water, pests, and fire better than wood-based siding. And it looks better while doing it. Hardy Siding has been chosen for 10 million homes and counting. See the proof at jameshardy.com.
People begin to background the FBI director, no matter where he or she may lay. And he says, I'm just not interested in it. I like doing what I'm doing right now, and I'm just not interested in having my life torn apart even more than it is right now. That's a sad commentary.
Yeah. Well, and when you have to choose instead of serving on that higher level, when you have to choose peace and tranquility because of the amount of destructive behavior that goes into politics these days, it's sad. And the funny part is I think and again, I've said on this show, I like Trey Gowdy. I haven't always agreed with everything he's said and done, but I think Trey Gowdy in general is a great guy.
He's a good cross-examiner. He's a good examiner.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Chaffetz, I would say the same for him. The big disconnect, as far as I'm concerned, is everyone expects that when Trey Gowdy, Jason Chaffetz go into a particular hearing, that they're going to get to the bottom of everything, rip it all apart, and the papers will flutter to the floor, when in fact, most of those hearings are absolutely toothless.
Yes.
They don't have any power of arrest, prosecution,
Right.
none of that. So when people go in and they say, oh, Trey Gowdy, I really like the way he talks to people and he gets to the meat of things, and Jason Chaffetz also, but they don't do anything. Well, there's a really good reason they don't do anything. It's because it's a hearing.
Right. There's not much you can do.
This is not open court.
And it's not even like it is an impeachment vote where the House actually has some power and authority. It's really just it's an investigation that the information from that investigation could get used for criminal activity or criminal prosecution, right? If somebody's under oath and they lie, it's usually how it goes down.
Yes, unless you're one of the select few.
Right, and then you can just walk away with it and then claim you have false notes. And that sort of thing. But yeah, and I understand that. Like I said, I had always hoped, at least with Trey Gowdy, especially with Benghazi, that I think he did really well during the Benghazi hearings, but I thought he could have done more. And again, like I remind everybody, I don't know what information he's privy to and not allowed to speak about because of classification. Now, I'm not necessarily happy about that, but he cannot also divulge certain information he's been told legally not to divulge or ask about. That does handcuff them, absolutely.
Well, and I'm sure that
and that's where I said that
that happens in the background.
there should have been some private sessions done. Hey, listen, that we can't go public because of what we're talking about. However, we will have this person, and they're going to be interrogated or questioned, if you will, by the committee and go from there. So either way, Trey Gowdy out sucks in a lot of ways. Sheriff Michael Clark is in, apparently.
Yes, as
Homeland Security Chair.
Is that what it was?
That's what I've heard.
Outstanding.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Outstanding.
It's a win as far as I'm concerned. That's a win.
Now, who's in at Homeland Security for the cabinet position? I can't recall. So he's an adjunct,
Well,
like a deputy Homeland Security.
Yeah, I don't think he
assistant.
I don't think he's the current Homeland Security Secretary. But again, the information is just starting to come out today. So nothing has been confirmed from what I've seen from the White House. But yeah, if it's true, then I think, Homeland Security Secretary is John Kelly.
Okay. All right.
But if it's true, I think that's a pretty exceptional victory.
Well, the good thing is about that, he's in the administration, he's part of it, and from there, once you're on the inside, the doors start to open now.
Well, right, and it gets him some experience on that level. I know he's had both political and criminal experience. Listen, I think the sky's the limit for that guy. I think he's just an amazing resource that'll be used well.
I would completely concur. And I don't think it's any shock of any nature whatsoever to think that he's going to go somewhere politically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think he's going to be a major politician in a few years.
To the point
in a good way.
Where if I were in his county, where he's the sheriff, Milwaukee County,
yep,
I'd wonder how much time he's actually paying attention to that job.
Well, and I think now he's going to be on his way out. So, yeah, I do have questions when stuff like that happens. Like, hey, I get that you're trying to do something.
I get that you're a politician. I get that you're hobnobbing with a lot of people. You have faces in front of a lot of TV cameras.
Yep.
And clearly, he had aspirations. the likes of which he's now starting to realize. Kudos to him. But, dude, you still got a job to do. You got to do it as best you can until you leave.
Absolutely, and I agree with that as well. So that was interesting news. And you know what? Before we get into Mueller and the special counsel and all that other stuff, yeah, we're not going to do that yet. And the only reason being is we're 9 minutes from break, and it's going to take. We're going to be into that subject for a long time.
Yeah, we are. That's at least a good half-hour segment, I guess.
At least, and that's
because once we get chomping on that bad boy,
yeah,
it'll be like a rubber cigar.
So I want to pull out my kind of asshole of the week award. The USS Constitution was broken into last night.
You mean Old Ironsides?
Old Ironsides herself. She's currently in dry dock in Charlestown, Massachusetts. I said Charleston. I'm going to get punched by somebody back home. Holy batshit, man. I'm in trouble. Oh, boy. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, my God. Oh, this is not going well for me right now. Not going well at all. Oh, God, I'm sorry, Boston.
Bastard.
Charlestown. Oh, God, in the Navy Yard. She's in dry dock. She's still able to be toured while she's in dry dock getting some retrofit work done.
So I'm guessing they're, doing something with the hull?
A whole bunch of everything.
Cleaning,
complete
refurbishing.
retrofit. They do. I can remember when I was younger, probably in my teens, she was in dry dock getting the same type of work done. I think at that time they did her masts. They did any hull repair. But, when they pull her out, they give her a really good once-over, and it's a multi-million-dollar restoration project. So
I can clearly see that easily.
Over 2 years. So sometime Sunday night into Monday morning, while the ship was closed to the public, a male, and his face is all over social media now, gained access to the Constitution.
Can you actually see him? See his face?
In the video, there's a video, you can pretty clearly see his face. He did do some damage, and they hadn't really said what damage per se. He damaged some to the stateroom, one of the staterooms, and there looked like there's some other vandalism done inside.
So he went there to break things up, not necessarily steal stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like he was just going to be destructive, or he was just a douchebag.
Man.
It sounds like somebody, and they don't say who that was, but somebody actually found him on board and just escorted him off. Now,
into the drink?
No, because it's in dry dock.
Oh, onto the firmament.
Yes, I wish it was into the drink.
Parenthesis, concrete, end of parenthesis.
Because here's the thing about the USS Constitution. It's still a naval ship.
It is still a commissioned ship. That it is on the active Navy roster. Correct.
And even though it doesn't have the technology that we protect with other ships, I am shocked that a symbol like the USS Constitution was not more guarded.
If it was, probably privately by the guy that drives by every hour or so and puts his little key in the device and continues on.
Here's my issue with that. First of all, it's an active Navy ship. Navy personnel still work on that ship. They do the tours. There's still a captain. There's a whole crew assigned to it.
Correct.
So you have that. It's in it's on federal land. It's still owned by the U.S. government. So you have the federal portion of that as well. The Case and Young is on the same dock, World War II ship. But my first thought was, that's a major symbol for a terrorist to attack. May not be lives, right? But you get one of these screwball terrorists or just Antifa or one of these anti-government folks, anti-Trump, anti-whoever, anyone who wants to make a message. You get on that boat with a couple of gallons of gas, it's a done deal, baby. So why?
That's sad that you even have to
yes,
go there.
It is very sad. But why the hell is one of the greatest symbols of our nation and our strength, and especially for the U.S. Navy, not being protected way better?
I would expect it's because it's been off everyone's radar screen. And up until now, no one has ever thought,
right?
Who, in their right mind, there you go, would want to damage, steal, blow up, deface, etc., a piece of naval history like that.
Right. And I don't understand either why some animal would do that, and this guy is a fucking animal. But, yeah, I was just shocked that... And then when somebody finds him aboard, you just escort him off? Oh, hell no. That's at least trespassing on a military property.
That's what I was thinking. I thought, okay, this is Sean using escort as a euphemism.
No.
You know, he
They
got
walked him down the gangway.
escorted.
Right, he should have
off
got his
the
ass
ship.
launched into the water. He should be in a military brig for trespassing onto a military installation or a military ship. But no, they're going to let the locals handle it, which this is... So, I go back and forth. The reason why I would want him to be dealt with the federal government is because the punishment will actually be greater.
See, I don't know anything about that area. I don't know anything about the geography of it.
Right.
Is that ship in some sort of a place where it's part of an actual U.S. military shipyard, or is it just something that's wide open to the public?
No, so it's...
Because that would be the major difference.
It's got secure gates all the way around. It is federal land. It's patrolled by the National Parks Police.
Okay.
They're the...
Not well.
Right. U.S. Parks Police. Sorry, U.S. Parks Police. The white cruisers with the green stripes.
The people that did the fabulous investigation on the death of Vince Foster.
Yes.
That park police?
Yes. Nailing it. And obviously, locally, it's outside of that, Boston Police would be there as well, the state police, depending on how their... I don't know what their mutual aid setup is there. But more importantly, it all goes aside because he's on a U.S. military ship.
Well, it would seem to me that if you really wanted to be an arsehole and press the issue, you might be able to bring the UCMJ into that. Would you not?
Right. And just across the water
from it... Is that not
the
point you're attempting to make?
That is the point I'm attempting to make. And just across the water from it, you also have the U.S. Coast Guard the U.S. Coast Guard station, Boston, where they do have military police. So it's not that far away. And you actually could do something if this guy is caught. Now, more importantly, if you finally catch him, you check social media and see if he was in there for any sort of what his intent and motive was, because that builds as well.
Well, I didn't see the story, but apparently it doesn't go much into what he did, what he was doing, and what kind of damage was.
Yeah, it looks like he broke a stateroom door. They were very kind of shady on what kind of damage he did. And maybe there wasn't much more, and they're not being shady. There just wasn't much info to give out.
Sad thing about that is once it goes into the media, then it becomes fodder for somebody else, and it gives somebody else another idea.
Yep.
Hey, now we can go to these, like you mentioned, perfect example, Antifa. Now that gives people on the Antifa side, hey, if we really want to get attention to what we're doing, perhaps we should concentrate on, America's history.
Well, and you look at, which they love to erase, you look at other domestic terrorism groups in the past, and yes, I'll call Antifa domestic terrorists on some level.
Hell yes, all day long.
But you look at ALF and all the fire bombings that they did back in the 90s and before that. And
all the vehicles that they set on fire, in all the car lots, all the new vehicles, etc.
All the apartment buildings that they were lighting on fire because just different craziness. And so it's not really a stretch. And I want to know why the hell this ship was not protected better.
My guess would be today.
It is.
It's going to be.
It is, right. And there's no barrier on the water side of things either. I have been up next to the Constitution on a boat, within reason, 10 feet. And it's just weird to me. I know it's in dry dock, so that doesn't apply right now, but it's just weird to me that such a symbol of our nation and something that could be a potential target has very minimal protection. It just doesn't seem right.
On the other hand, up till right now, did you ever think it would be? That it would be a point?
Yeah, that's true.
I hadn't.
That's true. Hey, we're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to get into special counsel, the Russians, and a guy named Mueller. Right here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Mim from Freedom Fest, the world's largest gathering of free minds. Join your friends from SHR Media at the beautiful Paris Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada, July 19th through the 22nd for 3 amazing days of liberty-oriented discussion, investment advice, and the Anthem Film Festival. It's our big 10th anniversary, featuring keynote speaker William Shatner and Freedom Fest favorites, including Steve Forbes, Jim Rogers, Lee Edwards, David Boaz, Doug Casey, Dinesh D'Souza, John Stossel, Lisa Kennedy, Grover Norquist, Peter Schiff, and many more. Don't miss out. Register at freedomfest.com for $100 off the regular registration rate when you use the all-caps code SHR Media.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet. Via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Coming soon to Ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Oh, yeah, look at that there. Wow, look at that. We are on YouTube. It works. I had to try, right?
Why not?
And I'll tell you something right now.
I want to hear something right now.
If you go to SHR Media on YouTube right now, it's right there. See? Just so you know I'm not lying.
Oh, wait. Okay, now you're using that camera, not the one on the laptop then.
I could if I wanted to. I could do this. I could do that. I don't want to. Not right now.
So you're using the...
I'm using the remote camera.
The remote? Okay.
Yeah. But as I look at this little quadplex, quad frame thingy that's on right now, and it's me and you and a couple of... I look good.
You always look good.
But I mean damn good this time.
No, I mean damn good too.
And you, my friend...
I look fuzzy and fat.
It looks like...
On the other hand, that's my job, is it not?
It looks like...
Where do you... Folks, I'm talking to you right now. Where do you think the name Bloviating Zeppelin came from? Bloviating as in mouth trash, Zeppelin as in terms of avoirdupois. Okay?
Oh, look at you.
So, regale in the courtly form of the bloviating Zeppulus.
There he is in all of his glory, ladies and gentlemen.
And the lava lamp is actually doing interesting things now.
I know. So I don't want to say what it looks like because it's kind of nasty.
It almost always looks like that until it gets really warm, and then it becomes
lava lampish.
Yeah, lampish. Right now it's sort of lumpy.
Yeah,
sort of like spoiled gravy, if you will. Eventually, it'll become all round and bouncy.
Yeah, very bouncy, very bouncy. And it's funny too.
Like me,
like you, round and bouncy. Not as bouncy anymore. I don't know if you bounce
In my
as
bouncy
much.
days,
In your bouncy
maybe
days,
mostly
yes.
behind me.
I do have to tell you, though, there's a young man on the wall behind you in the video who is just a handsome little son of a bitch, and I'll tell you that right now. So I forget I used to sit over there a long time ago.
You
in a
mean Larry
Galaxy.
Elder?
No. My son's up behind you.
Oops.
Larry's to the right. You can't see him in the frame.
Oh, okay.
FBI. I'm sorry. Special Counsel. Mueller. The Russians. Your initial reaction, sir?
Overall, in a big umbrella-like overarching thing, this week, and the week isn't even over yet.
Yeah.
This week and last week have been nothing. It's just like I said on my show last night. All this crap that's going on now is all about process. Process. To which I ask, okay, where's the governing actually getting done?
Right.
What is it that any of these people are interested in doing for the folks, the taxpayers of the United States? It's all focused on the process of this crap.
Yep.
And in the meantime, A, nothing appears to be getting done, and B, even if it were getting done, it wouldn't be covered because everyone's focused on all this process crap that's going on that does nothing for the American taxpayer, for you and me and the people listening, the people in chat. Where are we? We're cream cheese. We're kicked to the curb. We don't matter. All these assholes in D.C. are doing nothing but navel-gazing right now.
Yes.
And it's all about politics. It was begun by Hillary Rodham Clinton, aided and abetted by the Democrats. It's process, and most of the American public couldn't give a shite less about what's going on. They want to know how Donald Trump, president, is going to take care of them and begin to do what he said he's going to do and solve problems. So here comes Mueller in as special counsel, because I'm sure the Democrats had all sorts of meetings saying, we're not going to do a thing until you either get you subsume our wants and our needs and our demands. You either get a special prosecutor in there or a special counsel. We're not going to do a thing. We're moving forward on nothing.
Here's the amazing part, though, BZ. Isn't it funny how this happened so quickly? So we talked about special prosecutor with Benghazi, special counsel with Fast and Furious under the last administration. There was a lot of things that deserved to perhaps have the look of a special counsel. Excuse me.
It's that time of year in Sacramento.
Oh, God, it's horrible. And it never got entertained. It was never entertained. Within,
you know why?
Right. Because
the American media maggots were not behind it.
Very good. That's exactly why. Now, 5 months in, and I can't tell, the damage is done because of what was said, not because if there's any evidence that any wrongdoing was done. That's my sad problem with how this has been handled. Right? Like you said, the American media maggots just jumped all over it. It did not matter for an iota of a second what was fact and what was froth and what was fiction. They jumped all over it. I forget the gentleman's name. He's a former SEAL. Was on CNN, and he was talking to a whole bunch of libtards about this.
Oh, I played that cut last night.
Yes. And he tore them apart. He's like, the
only thing that CNN, that the CNN chick to the right had to say about him is that he cannot assail the good reporting of CNN.
How dare he?
It wasn't anything about, the facts, the fact patterns, what's truly occurring. It was about the CNN reporters. He's assaulting the CNN reporters' integrity.
Right.
Oh, please. I roll my eyes at that.
And, these sources that they use, unnamed sources, and that was this big thing of, hey, you have something this big, you come out with it. Right? If this is true and you have something that big, you come out with it. And I thought it was a great argument of like, yeah, you know what? I think Jersey Joe said last night that he has an unnamed source in D.C. who, has a picture of Comey dressed like a clown chasing a donkey or whatever it was. It was funny, but it's true. You have unnamed sources. First of all, is this the same person that's leaking things to the press? Well, it sounds like it, huh? And is this the same person that's done these leaks in the past that has been an issue? Was it from both administrations? Is it somebody who carried over that's leaking these things? Maybe we should start looking at that person, because it's starting to breach beyond just First Amendment media. And now we've talked about before with classified information. Now it could very possibly be crossing into classified information. Because if they know what the president told the Russians, and they knew it was classified information, and if the president was wrong, and I'm just going to use that as an example, I'm not saying he is, but if he did something wrong by sharing information he should not have, and then this person is now sharing with the media that same information, well, they're doing something wrong as well, because this isn't just First Amendment letting the media know, you're sharing state secrets, if that's what it amounted to. And now it's a problem.
Again, as per normal.
So
the American media maggots do not want to hear anything about leaks. It's about not the manner or means in which it was delivered.
Right.
It's all about the information, false or not.
Right.
So stop. Let's go back a little bit. What do we have? We have an individual who telephoned a New York Times reporter.
Allegedly.
And read this memo over the telephone to a reporter.
Yes.
We also have information indicating that Comey wrote this post-firing.
Right.
Stop. 2 words. If he did that, and that was the chronology. Self-serving.
Yes. Very self-serving.
So, let's assume, for the sake of argument, that James Comey does have this memo. It does exist. And he felt at the time, because he portrays himself as a choir boy,
right,
that he has the scruples of an archangel, and better, he's more altruistic than Mother Teresa.
Yes, of course.
Just ask him.
Yes, he'll tell
So
you
the
all
big
about
question is, this occurred on his watch. His immediate supervisor is Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein.
Yes.
If he is such a grand master of scruples, and it bothered him in the slightest, isn't it incumbent upon him to immediately go to his supervisor,
yes,
reveal the information
yes,
immediately,
yes,
whether it be in written or telephonic form, because it clearly disturbed him, if we're to believe what he's saying? If he were that disturbed and it were that much an issue, I only ask, why didn't it occur? Now let's put you folks in that situation. Let's put Sean in that situation. Let's put me in that situation. You're privy to seeing something that greatly disturbs you, and you're at work. And here's your boss. Now, this doesn't involve your boss, but there's a discrete hierarchy in terms of supervisors, managers, etc. And you answer to your boss, you do the right thing. So what do if you're the discoverer of something that really truly disturbs you and isn't right? Morally, ethically, it's wrong, and you feel disturbed to your core, and it may even, in your estimation, it may even be criminal. Do you keep that to yourself? Do you say, no, I'm not going to say anything about it? And then further, do you immediately go over to your keyboard and go tappity, 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 tap? Just in case I get cross-examined on this, I want to have this immured on paper.
Right.
What the fuck? So, James Comey, you want me to believe that you, the choir boy, this is the chronology that you're stating to me right now?
Well, and I'll take it a step further. It's amazing how this comes out after the fact.
Isn't that shocking?
Like somebody wouldn't have an axe to grind. And listen, if you go back through, you could very argue Comey's competency, decision-making, and morality through everything that happened with the Hillary investigation. There's no reason why somebody has not been prosecuted for that. Right?
Rod Rosenstein's 3-page, 4-page memo, we read it.
Yep.
We read it last week.
Yes.
Here on Sackheads.
Yes.
And he laid out a point-by-point, very specific argument as to why Comey had to go. It was logical, it was concise, and it was accurate.
Yep.
Comey has lied to me, to you, to the American public numerous times.
Repeatedly.
To the point where...
That's the scariest part. It's happened
to
repeated.
the point where I'm getting tired of saying that I was right all along.
Right.
I'm not when I retired, I wasn't a lieutenant or a sheriff or a chief of police. I was a little fat, dumpy cock, but I know how to conduct an investigation, and I know how to take a specific statute of law and under a set of given circumstances apply or not apply that particular law.
Right.
So Comey, again, this is broken record time, specifically went out on July 5th when very first and foremost, he should have taken a large cup of shut the fuck up. Why was it that you needed to go out in public and make this announcement anyway? You could have written it on a memo and shipped it right over to the Attorney General's office. But no, you had to make a press conference out of it. Okay, so that's where we are. He goes and makes a press conference out of it. Then he lays down, again, bullet point by bullet point by bullet point, why Hillary Clinton needed to be prosecuted, and then miraculously concludes
nothing happened.
That because he's the Department of Justice, he's the Attorney General, and he gets to decide whether or not Hillary Clinton is going to be prosecuted, and takes that power away from Loretta Lynch at the time, who, by the way, didn't mind him doing that because
it covered her ass.
She knows what a political hot potato that is.
Oh, it covered her ass.
So she doesn't mind him making that decision for her. That leaves her over in the pile of survivors over here.
Which, by the way, I hate that
he
show.
does that.
But go ahead.
He does that with that argument with Hillary Clinton, and again, he does that with that argument with Huma Abedin.
Right. And Anthony Weiner.
And then, in fact, comes and lies 2 weeks ago, lies in an open hearing and said his FBI agents diligently went through tens of thousands of emails in Anthony Weiner's laptop because he was getting to the bottom of it, and there was classified information, and then somebody comes in the next day, not James Comey, and says, no, actually, we only found a handful of emails.
Bullshit. It's bullshit.
What?
And you and I both know it's bullshit. That's the best part about this. Anyone with half a brain knew this was bullshit, right? And like I said, never mind the fact that here's a man who was just fired, embarrassed, rightfully so, and kicked to the curb, rightfully so, with an axe to grind.
Joe Antrobus in chat, Jersey Joe says, hey, hello, memo, disgruntled employee?
Totally a disgruntled employee.
Okay.
How many people, I hate to say this, but do you know how many people are fired every day, go make false profiles and start blowing up their businesses with Yelp reviews that suck? Right? This is no different. This is a negative friggin' Yelp review about the president. And that's all this is.
All right. You could make that argument. But see, this is again what oh, all right. That all aside.
Yeah.
What about the argument about sourcing in news today, in journalists? It's like I say, news about the news is news according to the news. So, as an investigator, could I hang a murder charge on one piece of evidence that I have? One piece. And by the way, I'm not going to show it to you. And by the way, the evidence that I have came from a phone call from someone who said something to me. That's all I have. But by God, I'm going to hang a case on that. I'm going to hang an entire investigation on that. Mm-hmm. And in this case with the New York Times, they're going to hang an entire story on that and then stand by it.
Yeah, well, and so
where's the memo? Jason Chaffetz yesterday, who's, by the way, he's just recovering from surgery.
Yes.
And said, hey, as Jason Chaffetz, I have my subpoena pen right here. Show me the memo.
Yeah, I want to see it now.
Yes.
Did you see the Washington Post as well celebrating in their newsroom when all
Oh.
this stuff was hitting? This is ridiculous. Here's the thing that we've seen from the media, and Victoria Taft, who I follow on Facebook, and she's a host for another network, and she's a writer, and she does some really good stuff. But she said, either way, what's happened with this is pathetic and sad. If, in fact, the president was trying to lean on Comey to drop the investigation, it's sad if that happened. But number two, if this is a giant fabrication from the media, it's almost even worse, because the one thing that's supposed to be the guardian of the republic is supposed to be the last resort of the people against the government, free press, is gone.
They're the guardians of their own paychecks.
Well, now they
That's
are.
all they're guarding.
That was not the intent, though, of the First Amendment. The First Amendment is that the media, or at that time news, the press, was supposed to be reporting fair and honestly to keep the government in check. Right? That's what it was for.
The press is all about keeping their checks
now
going.
Right. And that's what,
and clickbait.
But that's what Victoria said is, or the third one, the former director of the FBI is so childish that he made all of this up in an effort to smear his former boss.
Let me throw this out into the
Either
ether.
way, it's a shit show now, right? I mean, seriously.
Yes.
Either way, it's turned it into this cartoon act.
It's
just pathetic.
No law is getting done. No governing is getting done.
None.
This is just about, as I say, it's process.
Right.
It's navel gazing.
But it's worse
Shut the
than
hell
that.
up. Move on with doing what you were elected to do. But he can't. He's a guy.
Right. He
One
can't-
person. Let me throw this
and
out.
If they had any clue on how our government works, they know he can't do everything by himself.
No,
He's not
of course not.
supposed to. That's not what his job is. But the Democrats are pissed still that they lost an election. They're pissed because their policies fucking suck.
That's
and
exactly
they're
what I
pissed
said
about everything
last night.
So they're trying to jam it up everybody else's ass in an effort to stymie. And so in 2 years, when the midterms coming up, or a year and a half now, they could say, "Oh, look, they did nothing." Well, that's because you stonewalled us on 6 months with bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
Well, that's another reason that all these people didn't get installed into their cabinet positions and the various other positions. And the Democrats were saying, well, it's because they haven't returned the information to us. No, the fact on that was the Democrats kept throwing interrogatories on paper back to the people that were supposed to be into those particular positions. No one mentioned that. Here's another thing that I said I wanted to throw out into the ether. Comey, when he testified, kept answering, there were 100 questions that he said that he could not answer. And then they invited him. He appeared in public hearings twice.
Right.
3 times, most recently. And people said the very next week, people said, well, we need to get you back then, sir, behind closed doors. Has Comey yet gone behind closed doors? No. Why? Why do you think, Sean? Because he'd have to tell people what actually exists and what doesn't exist. And then he could be asked questions that he would be expected to have answers for, and he couldn't pull this classified crap out of his arse.
Right.
So now he would actually be held accountable and responsible for all these decisions, and then people might find out if there is a there. But he's not. He's not behind doors. He's not in a private hearing. He's not testifying before a committee. And as a matter of fact, he's not even a member of the U.S. government right now.
No, he's nothing. At the end of the day, right now, Comey is a big, giant friggin' nothing.
But you nailed it. You nailed it. The Democrats and the American media maggots are still on November 8th.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't
They're
even
still
gotten
pissy.
They haven't even gotten to November 9th yet.
They can't even take their ball and go home right now because they don't have a friggin' ball. They got rooked. They got destroyed. They got their asses handed to them because of their failed policies of 8 years. And not a knock on Trump and how he ran his campaign. I didn't agree with everything, but that doesn't mean the man wasn't successful tremendously. But the reality of the situation is, as successful as he was, That's how damaging to themselves over 8 years the Democrats were.
Here's how I quantified recently on Ken McKillen's show on Monday the balancing, the teeter-totter, the sawhorse between Obama and Donald Trump. And it's this. It's a 180 scheme. Obama personally was loved.
Right.
His policies were crap.
Despised.
Go across the aisle. Trump is hated, but his policies are liked. And he's getting things done.
Right.
It's the exact opposite. It's a 180 schism between that, and they still have the deep state people that, by the way, tomorrow on my show, guess what, folks? I'm going to name names about leakers.
Very nice.
Because there are names to name.
Well, then that's going to be exciting right here in the Berserk Bobcat Salon.
Yes, thank you. Ken. Thank you, Ken.
Ken. Really quick before and that's tomorrow at 8 p.m. Pacific on BZ Show, the Berserk Bobcat Saloon right here on SHR Media. But really quick, we get 3 minutes before we go to break. Anyone talking in chat about this? What was the one thing?
Jersey Joe is.
What was the one thing I told you about before?
Is going away.
Well, he's back. He's back tomorrow. He was back today, but he's live tomorrow. So.
Well, that's true.
So he
Plus,
better go to bed before I put in the
10, 11. It's almost midnight his time.
Yeah, and he's going to get up early. He has a goddamn show to do. Joe, go to bed. Joe,
go to bed. Joe.
I'm telling you to go to bed now, Joe. I will not have you staying up late on a work night.
That's right. You have work to do for the SHR Media Network. So get to it, mister.
I'm really good at sending people to bed. So, I have this down.
What do we do? What does SHR do?
Put people to bed.
We put narcolepsy to bed.
Do we
not?
Put narcolepsy to bed. Narcolepsy is horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. Many people we know personally are affected by it.
I know.
And it's pretty terrible. It's nothing worse than just randomly falling asleep. For them. For me, I would love it. Right? Yeah. Well, at your age, that's not narcolepsy. That's just expected.
Folks, remember, you can't see this, okay? This is not here. And for those of you listening and not on video, nothing happened.
And for the record, it's not elder abuse because you could leave whenever you wanted to.
I still ask for the media. We got 2 minutes before the top of the hour break.
Yeah.
How is it that you can call reporter X, say, I have a memo, let me read it to you, and that becomes front page, top of the fold news, and you haven't seen the memo? Well, here's the other thing. If this memo is so important and it does really exist, how or why is it that the provider of this memo couldn't somehow find it within themselves to walk over, deliver, have a third uninvolved person somehow get it from A to B so that the said reporter could look at that and go, oh my God, here's the text of the memo right here. Because remember there used to be sourcing? Mm-hmm. Remember if you wanted to get a story published and your editor said, well, I need 3 separate individuals' sources before we roll with this piece.
We actually
That's
need to
how
confirm
journalism
it.
used to work. And now it's by word of mouth. Now news is ding, 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 hello. Hey, can I tell you some stuff? And now you're not going to know whether I made this up or not, but you're going to print it because it's salacious and you want to. And then your newsroom erupts. Your newsroom erupts.
Sound of the 3 gunshots says it's time for us to take a break.
I'm dead.
When we come back, we're going to discuss the American
That was
media
well played.
Thank you very much. We're going to discuss the American media maggots and more right here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Stick around, please.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Mim from Freedom Fest, the world's largest gathering of free minds. Join your friends from SHR Media at the beautiful Paris Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada, July 19th through the 22nd for 3 amazing days of liberty-oriented discussion, investment advice, and the Anthem Film Festival. It's our big 10th anniversary, featuring keynote speaker William Shatner and Freedom Fest favorites, including Steve Forbes, Jim Rogers, Lee Edwards, David Boaz, Doug Casey, Dinesh D'Souza, John Stossel, Lisa Kennedy, Grover Norquist, Peter Schiff, and many more. Don't miss out. Register at freedomfest.com for $100 off the regular registration rate when you use the all-caps code SHR Media.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so. And I lost BZ. Oh, I lost BZ. I don't know where the hell he is. Oh, wait, the phone's ringing. The phone's ringing. Hello, you've reached the SHR Media Network studios. How can I help you?
Hello, is this the SHR Media Network telephone?
BZ, yeah. What the hell happened? Where are you right now? This is ridiculous.
I'm making a phone call just to see if the phone system works. And it hasn't changed from yesterday, has it?
Nothing's changed. Are you just proving a point to White Mamba? Is that what this is about?
No, nothing like that. Ooh, yeah, sorry. The police are coming. I have to go.
Get your ass back in here. We have a show to do, goddammit. Oh, so it works. For the record, if anyone was listening last night, it was not BZ's fault. Somebody may have a phone problem, is all I'm saying. So, before we go to break, we're covering the American media maggots, as you so affectionately call them.
I love them.
I can tell. You bring up a really good point of how journalism, this isn't journalism anymore. That's the problem.
Isn't.
I wouldn't even say, there we go. I wouldn't even say it's reporting. It is.
See, the same thing that the American media maggots accused George W. Bush of, being incurious, is exactly their current state of affairs right now. They're completely incurious. They do not have inquisitive minds. No. They are not accepting of anything that challenges their newsroom's point of view.
Well, and here's how you know just how jaded it's become. They have turned what is supposed to be journalism, and they have turned it into reality TV. That's what this is.
Very, very poor reality TV.
But almost like which I hate reality TV, but like the old reality TV where like they'd put two guys in a house and then like start turning the heat up slowly, like some sort of bad science project or medical study, or just all these different things they do to drive these people to the edge so they can embarrass themselves on national television to make a couple bucks. That's what they're doing to politics. They're making, even more so, that's what they're doing to the people of this country.
It's destroying.
They've created this divide.
Yes.
It's destroyed civility in this country. You go on Facebook now, and anyone knows me knows I have more than one Facebook account. I have my SHR Facebook account and my personal one. But now on both, and it used to be I kept my politics on SHR, and my personal one was just personal. But now both sides of it are just vitriol and politics 24/7, which is fine, except for the fact that 7 years ago it was not like that. People still had common discussion. People were still engaging. Now we have Antifa. We have all of these people not being able to speak at colleges because of the violence getting so bad. The media is culpable for the destruction of the civility of this nation and the ability to intelligently engage somebody in disagreement and still be productive and call them a friend.
They're absolutely complicit with this shocking degree of ignorance. That is to say, under what banner do they flourish?
Right.
The First Amendment. The people that they're supporting wish to do what? Eliminate much of the First Amendment so that the only speech that's acceptable is speech of, say, Antifa. Mm-hmm. What do we know about the Pastor Niemoller quote from World War II?
Right.
First they came for the trade unionists. Then they came for the socialists. Then they came for the business people. And finally, they came for me. Mm-hmm. The journalists may be the last persons that a regime comes for, but sooner or later, look at Venezuela. Look at Mexico. 90-some-odd journalists killed in Mexico in the past 2-3 years.
Yes.
Do you think that a journalist faced with death is going to write anything against any of the drug kingpins in Mexico?
Same thing in
the
this
First
country.
Amendment, or the equivalent of the First Amendment, is dead
or
moribund in Mexico. You want that here?
Well,
that's insane.
But it's already coming down to that here. That's the
It
problem.
is.
There was a reporter who was fired for supporting the NRA, and I'm trying to look her up really, really quick because I don't have her name off the top of my head. She wrote a positive article for the NRA. And excuse me, I'll pull it up really quick.
You're not talking about Dana Loesch, are you?
No.
Because she's got books supporting the NRA. Dana Loesch is a sharp individual, very pro Second Amendment.
I think this is it. Let me pull it up here. No, I know who Dana Loesch is very, very well. This was a young gal, and I don't think she was from a major syndicated newspaper or anything. And I'm trying to pull it up now.
Mamba in chat makes a very interesting point. He says it's really getting old, so old already. We support Islamofascists speaking all day long at schools.
Brandeis University, number one.
Yet Milo makes a mistake on YouTube 7 years ago, and he loses his book deal, his CPAC speaking engagement, all of that in one big bundle. Gone. Mark Stein.
Yeah.
Getting stomped all over and then sued in Canada.
Yeah. Oh.
And Trudeau wants to clamp down even more on speech in Canada.
Yes. Trudeau's really locked it. People don't realize what a scary little son of a bitch Trudeau is. And how that man is just frightening for a lot of different things. But you're seeing, was Stein the comedian who was fined in Canada for free speech violations?
No, Mark Stein is a conservative columnist who speaks...
Oh, that Mark Stein. I'm sorry. You're right.
Who speaks kind of like me, and he had an article in... damn, I can't remember. I don't remember the...
No, I remember Mark Stein, though.
Maclean's. It was in Maclean's magazine. That's what it was. And he was taken before a board in Canada about speech and sued. He had to spend money to defend himself.
Well, there was also a comedian in Canada who committed what we consider free speech violations, and he was fined tremendously and sued as well. I finally found the article. Sorry, it took me a few minutes. Conservative columnist who was suspended by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch after she defended the NRA from comparisons to ISIS was fired.
Dan says Stacy on the right.
Yeah, Stacey Washington, after a column entitled "Guns in the Media," disputed an NRA article that argued some more Americans die from guns. But essentially, she wrote this article, and this was back in May 5th, and then was fired because she defended the NRA. It's already happening. This is what happens when you have somebody who thinks outside the box. And you look at parent media companies. What show was canceled this past week?
Oh, yes, the one that was the number 2 rated show on ABC, Last Man Standing.
Yep, Tim Allen.
Because Tim Allen had the temerity to actually announce his support of President Trump.
Yes.
So, goodbye, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya.
Well, and on top of that, he also, the show itself, the guy's a conservative.
Yes.
He's a Christian.
Yep.
He's got conservative values. And they kiboshed the show for no reason whatsoever.
Except his views.
Right. And they could do that. And
Sure
this
they
is what,
can.
This is what people need to understand.
But this is how in the tank they are. As a number 2 rated show, you're making really good advertising dollars for that network.
Right.
And for your political views, you don't mind seeing those dollars go away.
Well, and here's the sad part about it. And I remind everyone this. When you have ABC, which I think, was it ABC or CBS? One of those two, whichever one it was on. I can't remember off the top of my head.
He was on ABC.
ABC.
Last Man Standing?
Yes,
ABC.
So I tell everyone who is offended and upset by that. First of all, ABC has the right to cancel whatever they want.
Sure they do.
Private
You bet they
entity,
do.
Right. Don't ever turn them on again. Don't give them another second of your time. Just like the New York Times, the Washington Post, all these other ones. I brought this up when we were talking about banks and the market crash and the banking industry. Everyone, I think we talked about this like a month ago. Everyone's, oh, the banks, they were so bad, they were so evil, blah, blah, blah. And then they pull the Bank of America card out and go to the ATM. Why are you using that bank? You were just telling me how horrible they were. Well, yeah, but it's convenient. Well, tough shit.
Hello?
This is part of the problem with the citizenry in this country.
It's a bank. You can go to a credit union.
Yes. A local credit union gets just the same service
And
nowadays.
be treated better at a local credit union.
But I equate that now to ABC and all these other the news sources. Don't go to their websites. Don't give them the click. Don't turn on their show. Don't watch their advertisement. Let their Nielsen ratings fall through the floor.
Yeah. I used to say that you can vote with your feet.
Yeah.
All it takes now is to vote
With your
your
finger.
fingertip and a
Whoa.
click.
Whoa. Yeah. We're getting serenaded in the studio. This is pretty amazing.
I didn't know you played that well. You're amazing.
I don't know if anyone could actually hear that. It was coming through the headphones, but I have no idea what that.
You're really good.
Thank you.
I had no idea.
Yeah, that was a bass guitar.
It was really
acoustic.
good. I liked it.
Acoustic. I was rocking it. And the best part is I don't think my video was up at the time. Oh no, my video was up at the time. So
Okay,
now-
here we go. This is very interesting. Now, Dan Butcher says ABC threw away $13 million in ad revenue per show with the cancellation of Last Man Standing. Dan, I don't know where the hell you get your facts, but talk about fast. Holy moly. That was most rapidamento.
Well, it's the second best newsman in the business, Dan
So,
Butcher.
They don't
Poll
mind,
number 2,
obviously,
High
cutting
Plains Pundit.
off their nose to spite their face. And as I said, take all that money. You may as well just throw it out in the street. Bye-bye.
Well, because they know they're going to lose a small percentage of the conservatives that watch that show, right? But who did they just endear themselves to?
Oh, well, all
liberals and snowflakes.
All the leftists.
Oh, yeah, liberals and snowflakes, baby. They
so the
just
only show that
endeared
was
themselves
the
to
only
it.
show that was making more money than that was Modern Family.
Modern Family.
Which is a fairly left show.
It is
shall
a
we
fairly
say.
left show.
And yet Tim Allen is competing healthily with that show and making good bucks for them.
He
So
was-
you have to do what I call the logical conclusion. It's an if-then equation.
Right.
If they're making good money for ABC, and if the ratings are not tanking, and you're removed from the schedule, then what can you conclude? Absent everything else. Philosophy.
Right.
Politics.
Yep.
Viewpoint. And they don't mind taking that money and throwing it away. And they have.
And
to
they-
make a point.
Well, and who owns ABC?
That's a good question. Is it Disney?
Disney owns ABC. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the CEO of Disney is a huge leftist. And it's sad, but it's true. And again, it's their right to do it, but people need to respond appropriately.
Certainly.
Need to
Very,
respond appropriately.
very true.
But same thing with these asshole news outlets, right? How does MSNBC and CNN and shows like the Young Turks on the internet and all the other ones, people keep going to them, even though they're complete scumbag assholes? Put them out of business. Put them out of business. It's like we've said on this show from day one. If you don't like what we have to say, you have two options. You can call in when we open the phone lines up and have a discussion with us about it,
Or just not listen.
or turn us the hell off.
Simple.
And
if you do that and you go away, number one, fuck you. And number two, I didn't miss you because you weren't here in the first place.
Right. And one of the other things that was really funny that happened is early on when we were doing this show on Sackheads, we were on another vessel. We weren't on Spreaker like we are now, but it had its own chat room with it. And in that chat room, we used to get some leftists that would come in. Early in the Obama administration, early in our career, they were willing to engage and have a conversation about different politics.
Super.
Right.
Let's chat.
Just as we were getting ready to leave, and Obama was ratcheting up his bullshit, and the media was ratcheting up their bullshit, and the divide, it was just before Ferguson. And the divide in this country, we were on that knife's edge that we've talked about before. All of a sudden, the tone of those people in the chat room changed. Where it wasn't, I want to engage you, I want to yell at you.
Or simply cut you off at the knees.
Yeah.
And your ability to say what you wish.
And I say it as much as Obama deserves a lot of blame for how law enforcement's treated, the racial divide in this country, and a lot of other things. The media is far more culpable. You remember Trayvon Martin, NBC editing the 911 tape.
Yes.
Same thing with Ferguson. I go back to Ferguson.
Manipulating the fact pattern to suit a narrative.
2 hours after the shooting, when they were still doing the investigation, there was a YouTube video that was up for about 2 hours, maybe 3. And it was two gentlemen, I'll use that term loosely, standing next to each other, discussing the shooting, and somebody was videotaping the body lying in the street, and they didn't know they were on video. And they were discussing how, what the grand jury concluded, he was attacking the police officer, and the police officer was defending himself. They used very colorful language to explain it, but they essentially said that Michael Brown turned and charged the police officer and began punching him through the window.
They were supporting the fact pattern of Darren Wilson then, apparently.
Right. And that was on for about 2 hours. And then all of a sudden it caught fire and disappeared.
How could that be?
Amazingly, it caught fire and disappeared. And then you had the Ferguson riots. You've had all the backlash after that between law enforcement and communities as a result of the Ferguson riots. And then
Black Lives Matter is predicated but upon a lie.
all these lies. But who perpetrated the lies? The American media maggots.
The enablers.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
enablers in chief.
Yep.
Gesundheit.
I love allergies. Oh, if I could just have a little bit more allergies in my life, that would be outstanding, said nobody ever. I apologize, folks.
Dan makes another interesting point in chat. He says, when a show does this well in syndication, every episode becomes a bar of gold, a likely source of rolling revenue for years and years to come.
Yeah.
And so what he's saying is ABC is cutting off the current money now, and they're cutting off the ability to make even more cash off of Last Man Standing for X number of episodes or X number of years, that it would have continued beyond that, and then extra number of episodes available later on in syndication, upon which they can make more cash. What the hell?
You know, it's really funny to me. So I sneeze on YouTube. I just want to go back a second. I sneeze on YouTube, and with almost a minute, I'm getting messages about it. And somebody was asking if I had some strange Congo disease. Just giving me a hard time. Just giving me a hard time, because obviously I deserve that in life. But
I think it was Marburg.
Scurvy. I think I have scurvy.
I don't know. I think it was. I heard it was Marburg.
Okay. Either way, it just made me laugh.
I had the choice: either Ebola or Marburg.
Ebola.
I chose Marburg.
I could use a good round of Ebola. I got to drop some weight. I'm not going to lie.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, going back to the point, what's happening with that show and the amount of money that it could have made, that they were willing to chop and throw away. They'll still make money on syndication, because even though they canceled the show, you'd better damn well believe they're going to run syndication, because that's where all the coin is.
Well, yeah, because they're already said, I think Dan said in chat, there were already 130 episodes that are going to be available for syndication. But if they'd let this gold bar keep going, it could even rake in more money. But that's the degree to which these people are in the tank.
Insane.
For a political philosophy.
It is insane. Absolutely insane. And that's the scariest part. It used to be that despite the politics, they ran the shows, they reported the news. It all started in the news industry. I hate to say it, it all started with Cronkite and the false reporting of the Vietnam War that was going on. And they began sensationalizing things that weren't exactly true. They were telling half-truths and some lies. They were clipping what they were reporting and bringing it back, because everybody in Cronkite's corner was against the war, politically and personally.
Well, but on the other hand, as far as CBS, because he worked for CBS at the time, as far as CBS was concerned, Walter Cronkite was the gold standard of news broadcast.
But he was up until that point, and what happened was people started believing him because he was so trustworthy, and they were told that he was trustworthy. They were told that you should be able to believe a good newsman at the time, or news person now. And the simple fact of the matter is you can't. Listen, in this country, we have all of this technology that you have as a citizen to be able to research what really happened. Yes, you have the Facebook troll and all these other things, but if you do some digging, if you really want to get passionate about a subject, and you get to source documents and facts and all the other things that we've talked about in the past, you can cut through the froth and the lies, and you can get to the reality of it and the truth behind it, and become more intelligent and informed in your decision.
You've, in a roundabout way, also premierly stated the reason that the American media maggots are in revolt as well. Not only are they revolting, which is granted, they're revolting because what you just said, means to them a loss in readership, a loss in cash, a loss in power, and a loss in control. That's where the meme of fake news came from, because as far as they're concerned, just ask them, they are the gatekeepers, the arbiters of what real news is. And if it's not them, if it's not coming out of their mouths, then it has to be fake news.
Yeah, well, BZ, but here's the difference. You keep telling the lie until it's the truth, right? That old saying.
Joseph Goebbels.
Yep. You lie and you lie and you lie and you lie and eventually become the truth.
And the guy that you talk about, pre-Goebbels.
Bernays. Bernays. Yep. It was there with Bernays as well. This is the state of media in this country. So when we go back to Mueller, when we go back to the council, and we go back to Trayvon Martin and all these different things, the one thing that's changed has been how the media reports. Everything is jaded now. Everything is sold on a certain level. It is sensationalized news. They don't check anything. They're dropping and because the other news outlets do it as well, they have to try to get it on before the next person does. And the problem is before, that was a risk that you would take, that a news director would say, you know what, I'm good with the story, let's run it now. Whereas now, everything gets run. And then occasionally they'll do a 3-line retraction on a 15th page in the back at 4 a.m. on a Tuesday, and you'll never see the retraction.
You won't see it,
on
exactly.
It. And they never come out and apologize live anymore, the news people. They put it on their website, right? It used to be if Dan Rather reported something that was erroneous on a Monday through no fault of his own or whatever. On Tuesday, they would say, hey, we have a correction from last night's show. When I reported that blah, 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 this happened, when the reality was you don't get that anymore. They drop a little article on the bottom of their news page. They don't own it, and that way nobody can ever say, oh, they are fucked up.
Or you do what the Sacramento Bee does, which for people that don't know what that is the city of Sacramento's, county of Sacramento's leftist rag, the only surviving newspaper in town of a massive leftist bent. And when they have a correction or a retraction, it goes into the back page in, say, section C in really small print down at the bottom.
It's usually under the page number.
Yeah, yes, that's how bottom it is.
And it's printed in gray print on the gray newspaper.
Right, exactly.
You really have to look for it. But yeah, that's where we've come in this country, and I still say all of this goes back to the media being complicit, the media being greedy, and the left conspiring with the media in order to retain control. And I can't say every single one of them, but by and large, the left has taken over the media up until recently and pushed shit like this that we're seeing now. And it's destroyed parts of our nation that we may never get back again.
And the New York Times proved it. News about the news is news, according to the news. Just ask them. It's all about process now. It has nothing to do with governing or creating new programs, new events, featuring what the current president is doing on a positive level. No. Let's internalize, let's navel gaze, and let's make sure that every day is a brand new day. It's like Groundhog Day. It's like historical Alzheimer's. That's what the news has. They have historical Alzheimer's because as far as they're concerned, yesterday, we don't even remember anything about yesterday.
Right.
Today is the only day that matters. Don't read books.
Same thing happens with leftist politicians because look how many people were upset about Comey being fired who not 5 months ago were demanding he be fired.
Are you serious? Are you trying to intimate that leftists are hypocrites?
Assholes sometimes.
Shame on you.
I know.
Fie on you.
Okay. That's fine. I'll take that. You know what? I deserve that.
You did.
And I wear it like a badge of freaking courage.
Yes, well, you should.
We rolled through 30 again, BZ. When we come back, I want to talk about the Portland police chief. I want to talk about New Orleans. And there's a couple of, and I want to talk about, not Eli Manning, Chelsea Manning, or whatever the hell her name is now.
Eli Manning, right.
All that and more here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Sorry, Eli, but not really.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Mim from Freedom Fest, the world's largest gathering of free minds. Join your friends from SHR Media at the beautiful Paris Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada, July 19th through the 22nd for 3 amazing days of liberty-oriented discussion, investment advice, and the Anthem Film Festival. It's our big 10th anniversary, featuring keynote speaker William Shatner and Freedom Fest favorites, including Steve Forbes, Jim Rogers, Lee Edwards, David Boaz, Doug Casey, Dinesh D'Souza, John Stossel, Lisa Kennedy, Grover Norquist, Peter Schiff, and many more. Don't miss out. Register at freedomfest.com for $100 off the regular registration rate when you use the all-caps code SHR Media.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet. Via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Coming soon to ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back at the SHR Radio Network. This is the bloviating Zeppelin, who is sitting in here right now, currently awaiting the arrival of Sackhead Sean, who had to do something incredibly important right now. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, something incredibly important. We had general ass-jackery at the beginning. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 topics on the board, and we've gotten to 2 of them so far. And that's it. That's all we've gotten to. Let's change seats.
It's funny how I can get lost in this studio. It's so big, the hallways here. And really, it's one of those things that once you go down some of these halls and they look like broom closets, and I was just trying to find the pantry.
No, it's like the Hall of
but
Mirrors.
I found J. Edgar Hoover.
Well, and who's the guy that they buried in Hoover Dam?
That's who I was thinking about. The Teamster.
Son of a bitch! I can't think of his name.
Why would you do that to me, Hoffa?
That's a mind worm. Okay, you can go to bed tonight because you remembered that name.
Did you go? Are you in chat? I'm getting word.
Yes, I am.
Chat. I'm getting word you're not.
Oh yeah, I am. HP Pundit says, AKA Sean ate too many burritos before the show. And then White Mamba said, Jimmy Hoffa.
Thank you.
So, yes,
okay.
I am in chat.
So, my little news ferrets are lying to me. That's all.
News ferrets.
I have to pay people to watch you. You may not know that, BC.
Me?
Yeah. Just to check up on you. Make sure that you're in chat when you're supposed to be. You know, I'm still the boss.
Well, that's true. That's true.
You know, and I can't have any fucking around on this show.
That's true.
I will not have
true.
it. I won't have it.
No.
Yeah, I can't.
Well, it's all of it in there is in my shameless contract.
It is so shameless. It's not even funny, to be honest.
Which is why we're not laughing.
Oh, damn it! I can see again. It's amazing what glasses can do for an individual. Oh man.
HB says, "I see BZ. Sean is not in chat.
I do not have the ability.
That's
to
because
chat
Sean. Here's the sad thing, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when I'm saying this, but you and I are now to the point where we almost do really need a producer. There's so many things that are going on because whoever's sitting at that seat right there
is the hot seat.
Like me on Tuesday and Thursday, and you right there, you're operating the board, the phone, 3 screens. And then also you're in YouTube, and you have to move back and forth between the various views on the cameras That's a lot of work for one person. Then you have to keep up with what's going on in the conversation as well. That's getting to the point where you're doing a hell of a lot in one point. All these professional radio shows and whatnot, they all have producers.
Yeah, we're doing everything.
And guess what?
Well, hey, wait a minute.
You're the producer.
I'm the producer.
Because you're sitting in that chair.
Co-host. Well, if Big Nose was here, it takes a lot of the pressure off. Right? Because it gives me a chance to regroup with the electronics, make sure that the sounds are set, go through chat. Obviously, I got to finish setting up some screens in here. We got to mount a TV to the wall. We get some stuff that we're doing. But if Big Nose could actually get his ass to the studio, it would make my life a lot easier.
Well, yeah, because then the nice thing about having a triumvirate on a show is that when somebody needs to do something else, the other two can pick up.
Yes.
And continue and roll right along. That's why having 3 people in a radio show
makes a big
difference. I tell you what, I'm liking the hell out of that.
Makes a big difference.
It gives you a freedom to do a lot of things, speak freely. When you're trying to formulate some kind of an opinion or response, other people weigh in.
Some kind of opinion is the easiest way to put it. So
Yes.
I'm looking up, for whatever reason, not whatever reason, I know why, because I want to talk about it. But I got to look up the article I found a little bit earlier. I had it up, and then I lost it. Cause
Mama says we shouldn't have fired. Mama says you shouldn't have fired Sacco. He left for a better job because of a poor working environment.
Yeah, well, that doesn't mean I fired him, right? That means he left. That's not my fault. I didn't fire him.
Dan says, need a producer? Nope, I'm not going to say it.
No, and we don't need it, actually, that bad. So there's a website, Blue Lives Matter, reported today, as a matter of fact, May 16th, the 17th. Portland PD wants a chief to fix, the new chief wants to fix racism.
Yeah, but not just any kind of racism.
Yeah, I'm going to read this article probably good a way through because there's a lot to be said about this. Portland, Oregon. The city of Portland appears to be unhappy with Chief Mike Marshman. Marshman, less than a year on the job, is the city is seeking new candidates, preferably a minority, for his position, who could turn around the city's racism. At least that's what the job listing's saying.
Yeah, but it's not regular racism. They quantified it as systemic racism in Portland.
Chief Marshman was appointed last June to a 3-year contract. Inexplicably, the city opened up applications for his position on the 15th of May. Perhaps the city council is unhappy with police officers arresting rioting anarchists or considering their job posting. Perhaps they just want a minority in the job. Featured prominently in the job listing, the city says, the state of Oregon and its largest city, Portland, shares a history of legally sanctioned systemic racism with legally enforced exclusionary practice. Given the history, the successful candidate must demonstrate the capacity and commitment to expand on existing strategies to improve relationships with the service provisions to Portland's community of color, ensuring the equity is bedrock of policing in Portland. Ladies and gentlemen, the city of Portland is essentially saying that the police are all racist. And it's
every
systemic.
last damn one of them.
But it's amazing how it wasn't until, and I can tell you right now, a month and a half ago, you had, I think there were anarchists protesting in downtown Portland, and it was the first time that I can remember seeing the Portland police engage them and start arresting people. It happened on a trolley line.
Yep.
Or their light rail system. And you had riot police come in, start arresting everybody, dragging people to jail, all this other stuff. Up until then, Marshman was in pretty good graces with the city of Portland. And now all of a sudden, he's on the outs. You have a liberal city like Portland. Portland is one of the biggest bastions. I would honestly say when it comes to liberalism,
it's right up there with Berkeley.
It is right up there with Berkeley, San Francisco, New York. It's pretty crazy. And then you had that weird hippie element that they have in Portland, which they have. You have
they call it Portlandia.
Yeah, I believe it's Portland that has an openly socialist member of its city council.
Likely. I would expect no less.
And now all of a sudden, they want somebody who is a minority. So first of all, there's discrimination right there, right? Because to assume that a police chief without color cannot fix a problem, doesn't matter what you deem it to be within that department, is a form of prejudice right away. Secondly, the city of Portland is now saying that their police officers are inherently racist.
And they have no confidence in any of them.
Right.
None of them.
And it's systemic. To say it is systemic is to say that it goes down to the core, top to bottom and inside and out. Folks, if you've ever seen the city of Portland police, they are some of the most hands-off police departments in the country for a reason.
Only one more that I can think of.
Yeah.
Greta.
Right.
And they're proud of it.
Very proud of it.
With some exceptions.
Yeah. And it's not a fault of the officers that work there who become hands-off. It's the community has done, and the media has destroyed law enforcement in many parts of this country. Portland is one of them. If you arrest a person of color, the first question is, why are you racist? Not what did that person do? It is sad, it is pathetic, and it is where these leftists want to live in this country. They want to live in this utopia that doesn't exist, where everybody gets along and everybody's arrested equally. It's like California with this new ticketing system. You will be fined for traffic violations based on your income. I say again.
Well, let's see. If I'm not mistaken, that already occurred in Sweden or Norway.
Yes.
When one particular individual with a really expensive automobile got tagged for about 50 over the limit, and that tag was good for about $100,000. Whereas somebody that was not that didn't have that capacity to pay, a standard charge would be maybe $25, $35. It's already happening. It's already happening in Europe.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Sean.
Yes.
I have a question for everybody listening live. I have a question for everybody listening in chat and people that are listening in podcast. Scream it out, though I won't be able to hear it. What do you get when you politicize your police departments and your military?
What do you get?
What do you get when you do that to the people that you hope are going to be
ineffective and low morale,
helping you?
Ineffective and low morale.
You get
anger.
You get anger, and you get you get a reduction in morale, a reduction in efficiency, and a reduction in the ability to perform simple functions of defense.
Well, we go back to Baltimore during the riots, right? When they were held back, and the police department was held back, and the community hated them, and I don't remember if you see the videos of the stones being thrown at the cops and all that other stuff. But after all the riots went away, and the community was absolutely adamant about how horrible the Baltimore Police Department was, and the Freddie Gray incident, which we found out was bullshit. But all of a sudden, within a month, the same people that were throwing rocks at cops, that were protesting, and by the way, it is National Police Week.
Yes, it
which
is.
is why I'm bringing this up. But those same people were begging for the Baltimore police to come into the neighborhoods and start fighting crime again. Because what had happened was most of the cops said, you don't want us? We're not being proactive. You're going to complain every single time I stop somebody? We're not going to be proactive. I'm going to press the button. When the computer goes off, I'll answer the radio. That's it.
Thank you very much.
That's
you just made my
it.
point.
And
so they're going to do their job.
They're going to do the bare minimum.
They're going to answer calls for service.
You could talk about paychecks. You could talk about all you want. But at the end of the day, when you have an entire community look at you every day and say, you suck, I don't want you,
and
your management agrees,
you're accused. That's it. You're accused of over-policing day in
and day out.
And day out. They're human. I'm human.
Emotional response.
Anybody in any job is human, and you can't keep the human element out of it.
Yeah.
And pretty soon people begin to conclude in any job that's under assault, as law enforcement is today, pretty much you begin to conclude, you know what? If that's what you really want, I'm going to give you exactly that.
Well, and there's also
And they do.
There's also another scary statistic that's coming out, or that has come out, and I'm pulling it up here as well. Violent crimes against police officers, I believe, is the exact was the exact stat that was put out, is up 39% in 2017. 39%. And I actually had this, I saw this on social media, but I think it came from Officer Down Memorial page that was putting it out. I believe it was 39% is up in 2017 of attacks, murders, everything else, cops dying. And it's just this past week, I think there was 4 police officers killed in this country.
Yes, there were. But here's the deal that no one wants to admit. Certainly not police administrators, certainly not politicians. All of this, all of it, was entirely foreseeable.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I say everything in law enforcement is cyclical. Anything in any job is pretty much cyclical.
Mm-hmm.
Politics, it's all cyclical. It comes around and it goes around. We have not yet reached bottom in terms of policing. It's coming.
It is coming.
But we're not there yet.
Well, and I can tell you...
But it's entirely predictable.
You now have departments having a hard time getting candidates.
Who wants to work for a police department? Who wants to work at any job, much less a police department, under conditions like this, where everyone hates you? Well, let's see. Who hates you? The community hates you. The people on the street hate you. The people that interact with you hate you. The people at your call hate you.
Yeah.
And your administration hates you. Well, they don't just hate you. They won't back you up.
On anything.
They don't have your
and
back.
And it's so strange to me because when I was 19 and I first took the test, the line, I kid you not, was so far down the block you couldn't see the end of it. Everybody wanted to do it.
I'll tell you
Law
a little
enforcement
story.
And firefighters. Those lines were always packed. And now you have signing bonuses, you have enhanced vacation, extended days off, all these other things just to get people through the door. Because it is so tough to be in that field right now, law enforcement specific, that you can't get people to want to do it. And you have insane hiring practices in places like Sacramento that are just unrealistic. I've had numerous friends go through the background in Sacramento that have zero reason to get bounced, but get bounced for the silliest things.
Well, that's going to change too. And what you're going to get from that, cyclical, hello, table for one, cyclical, or table for everyone, as a matter of fact, you're going to get rampart all over again. How did you get, God, people, you truly have historical Alzheimer's. How did we get rampart? We got rampart because we had a difficult time recruiting. Cops, they weren't rushing, people weren't rushing to the job in droves. So then what happened? The standards got lowered. Rampart occurred in about 1993, 1994, a little bit into 1995 in LAPD.
Correct.
Now, what do we know about people? And it was internal affairs investigators know this. It's like the holy grail of how things fester and reproduce. And that's this. You have people that were hired under poor recruiting and poor backgrounding in which standards are relaxed, and it's estimated in the IA arena that it takes about average of 3 to 4 years for the average corrupt individual who's in law enforcement to become sufficiently comfortable and knowledgeable with the system before they start gaming the system. So they went back after Rampart and researched the information and discovered that, yes, that's true. The people that were involved in Rampart were people that had been hired under poor backgrounding and crappy recruiting. What a shock, 3 to 4 years prior.
Well, it's funny because, and I think you did mention it, as Dan Butcher actually linked me the article I was trying to cite, and it was on shrmedia.com, so that tells you what a great advertiser for shrmedia.com I am. I don't even know what articles are on my own website. When you talk about Rampart, it was one of those outreach programs to hire people from within the communities to police their own communities, which is okay in a lot of circumstances. But in that specific, they were targeting former gang members, quote unquote, people who have had criminal past,
which they overlooked,
because they were turning their life around. How many times have we heard that? And then all of a sudden, the Rampart unit itself was a gang, and they were running enterprise like you wouldn't believe. You know, there's my father was a police officer, but he always told me there's a fine balance in backgrounds. When you're doing a background investigation, there's a fine balance. You don't want the shithead, but you also don't want somebody who's so lily white they've never done anything in the world.
You don't want a shrinking violet. Do you want a soldier in your military that can be stepped on? Do you want a cop that can be stepped on that can't make a decision?
You want that person who's right in the middle somewhere.
Or do you want a cop that is so timid
they won't
that he or she resorts to deadly force because they have no confidence in any other way to handle a challenging situation,
or they don't go to a call.
That's terrible,
and that's what's happened to law enforcement. So this week is National Police Week. By the way, ODMP, OfficerDownMemorialPage.org.
Great source of information.
Amazing website. You can donate money if you've never been if you ever go to Washington, go to the Police Officers Memorial. It's absolutely beautiful. It's breathtaking.
Been there, saw it. It was
somber.
Very, very solemn.
I've been there.
A number of our offices. I went to go see names of our offices in there.
Yeah, it's scary. But it is an amazing website. And as you go out in the world this week and take notice of these cops who are working, I know we've talked about it a lot in the show, and for many of us, law enforcement is near and dear to our heart because of loved ones who have participated, and much like yourself, old-timer over there.
Loved ones?
Well, pseudo. And I still have many, 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 many friends who are actively in law enforcement. Just stop and look at the person in the uniform. Don't look at the uniform when you drive by. Let them know that you appreciate their service. Let them know that you understand how hard it is. You know, most of them will not say anything more than thank you and maybe shake your hand because they get embarrassed by it. Because for the average cop, it's not anything that needs thanking. They just do their job.
If you're hiring the right people,
it's like
that's who they are.
But I think 80% of cops out there are like that now. But they will appreciate it, and your words will go a long way for them. You want to do something amazing, especially if you're in California, buy them a coffee and tell them that you demand they take it. Because in California, there's a law that they cannot take anything.
Zero gratuities.
Because it's considered gratuities. However, there are some caveats that go with that. And if you pay for it and they try to give it back to you and you essentially demand they take it and walk away, they can take it. I can remember one time I tried to pay for coffee for a police officer. He said, I don't take gratuities. And I looked at him and I said, that's good because I'm not trying to give you anything but a cup of coffee. And he was befuddled by it. But, you know, take that moment. You know, stop and say hi to them. If you see a cop walking in a beat or don't get involved if they're busy, obviously. Unless they need help, then by all means get involved. But, you know, really take that time to look at that person that's in that uniform, that guy, that gal, and think about their life outside of that uniform, the things they have to carry home with them every night, the things that they've seen that you couldn't even imagine seeing. And really,
look at me. I'm a perfect example.
All of our first responders, really. Police, fire, EMS, ER workers. But this week, I'm talking specifically about law enforcement. You're a prime example.
This, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you get after 41 years of that shite.
Yeah, he's actually a 32-year-old Puerto Rican guy.
That's true. That's true. I didn't want to reveal it now, but I can understand you doing it.
And you were 6'1" when you started.
Yes, I was. I'm not overweight. I'm under tall.
Absolutely.
Hey, Dan in chat put this article in, and it's very, very timely right now. And I see we only have 5 minutes left.
As always.
Here's the headline, and this is from NBC News. Jury acquits Tulsa officer Betty Shelby in shooting death of Terrence Crutcher. A jury on Wednesday acquitted a white Oklahoma police officer in the shooting death of an unarmed black man in Tulsa last year. Tulsa police officer Betty Shelby, 43, had been charged with manslaughter in the September 2016 shooting death of Terrence Crutcher, 40, during an encounter that began with a report of a stalled vehicle. The district attorney's office announced the verdict had been reached shortly after 9 p.m. local time, more than 8 hours after deliberations began, the NBC affiliate reported. The manslaughter trial against Shelby opened May 10th, with prosecutors laying out how the 5-year veteran of the Tulsa Police Department encountered Crutcher. What should have been a routine traffic matter that went too far, they said. Instead, Crutcher's death, another involving an unarmed black man at the hands of police, touched off Black Lives Matter protests and calls for greater transparency from local authorities.
That was another one of those calls and those incidents that we said on the show, wait for it all to come out.
Yes.
And you also have to understand that there's this bizarre popular belief that there has to be a gun in somebody's hands before deadly force that can be used. If somebody in the career, and you know this is better than I, has training, experience, understanding, can see certain things, physically they're at a detriment. As this officer was. I think the guy was like 6'3", 6'4", and she was a very small stature human being. He was reaching back into the car after he made allegations that he had a weapon. He was showing signs of being under the influence of potentially PCP, which he was. All of those signs are bad when you're dealing with that person face to face. Going back to a vehicle, I've asked a million cops this question, and they've all answered the same way. When you're dealing with somebody you're trying to arrest and there's potentially a weapon involved, do you let them go back into their vehicle for any reason whatsoever? And the answer is unequivocally no. Because
you have no idea what the hell is in there.
More often than not, that's where the gun's hidden, is in the car. And if they go into that vehicle, odds are they're going to come out shooting. And all you have to do is get on YouTube and understand how honest that risk is. It comes down to the perception of fear of one's own life. No different than an average human being. If I'm walking down the street and I have a gun on me and a guy jumps on top of me from behind and starts caving my head off the concrete and I think I'm going out, I could shoot him. That was what happened with Trayvon Martin. It's legal. You don't have to have a weapon on them. Or if he's just punching me unconscious in the face and I'm starting to lose consciousness, I know that weapon's on my side could be used against me or anybody else. I have every reason to believe I'm going to die at that moment.
Well, again, it's all about common sense and doing the logical
that's
conclusion.
The problem right
now.
now.
I know, that is the problem.
We don't have common sense in
If you're a police officer and you're being pummeled by somebody, what is it possible in any kind of a conscious individual, thinking, rational human being that would think if they're of the mindset to assault a police officer, what's to say that once the police officer is unconscious, they'll stop right there, walk away, and not go for the officer's gun?
And there's been numerous times that gun has been taken. So I ask you this week, take that time to look at that person inside the uniform. Don't look at the uniform. See that father, that mother, that husband, that wife, that sister, that brother, that cousin, that best friend. See the person that's in that uniform. They may not be perfect, and they aren't. But 99.9% of them are out there for the perfect reason, and that's to serve their community and enforce the law. And to all of the police officers and law enforcement in this country, from the Sackheads Radio Show and SHR Media, we thank you for your service. And again,
we back the blue.
We absolutely back the blue. You retired old bastard, and I appreciate your service as well. Folks, that's it for the Sackheads Radio Show live from the SHR Media Network, the global headquarters of SHR Media, right here in sunny, allergy-filled Sacramento, California. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Pacific time, you have the Bloviating Zeppelin right here at shrmedia.com.
Fingers crossed and the phone works. We're having Pat Dollard.
The phone will work because it's not Mambas. I can promise you that. We'll be back next week. Going to be some big changes coming up to SHR Media. We're working on it right now. We'll start announcing as it's going on. Also, High Plains Pundit Talk Radio is back on Dan's website, High Plains Pundit. Make sure you check it out. There's some awesome shows on there as well. And of course, our good friends over at TECN who are going to be making the jump here soon to Internet TV. We wish them the best of luck as well. That's it for us. We'll see you next week, and thanks for hanging out with us here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.